Ammar continued gazing at the strange light, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. Suddenly, the bright flash took him, and everything around him disappeared. When he opened his eyes, he found himself no longer at the campsite. Instead, he was standing in the middle of a crowded, ancient city. The buildings were different, the people dressed in old-fashioned clothes, and the air felt heavy with tension. Ammar looked around, trying to make sense of where he was. Then a kind-looking wise man approached him. "A wise man, you seem lost, young one. Where do you come from?" "Ammar, I'm from Najran, but I was camping with my friends at Al-Akhdood." "Where am I now?" The man smiled sadly. "Ah, you are still in Al-Akhdood, but in a different time. This is the land of the people of the trench, where a great struggle between good and evil is about to unfold." Ammar felt a chill run down his spine. He remembered hearing the story of the people of the trench, known in Arabic as Al-Akhdood, the people who were persecuted by a cruel king for believing in one God, Allah. The man must have noticed Ammar's worries because he continued, "Man, you are here at a significant time in our history. The cruel king forces people to worship him, but a brave young boy, guided by Allah, is about to stand up to him." Ammar suddenly realized he had traveled back to the time of the righteous boy and the tyrant king. This was the story his grandfather used to tell him, the story of the boy who challenged a powerful king to protect his faith in Allah. As Ammar walked through the streets, he saw people whispering in fear. The king's soldiers were everywhere, forcing people to bow before the statues of false gods. But among the crowd, Ammar noticed a young boy, not much older than himself, standing tall and determined. Ammar recognized him instantly. It was the righteous boy from the story. The boy was walking toward the palace, and Ammar followed. He knew this part of the story well. The boy had believed in Allah from a monk and was now using the powers given to him. As a result, he can heal the sick as miracles, spreading hope among people. The king was threatened by the boy's growing influence and was determined to destroy him. Ammar watched in awe as the boy stood before the king, fearless in the face of danger. The king ordered his soldiers to kill the boy by throwing him off a mountain. But each time, the boy prayed to Allah, and a miracle saved him. When the king tried to drown him, the boy survived once again. Finally, the boy returned to the king and said, "You cannot kill me unless you do as I say. You must gather all the people, tie me to a tree, and shoot an arrow at me. But before you do, you must say, 'In the name of Allah, the Lord of this boy.'" The desperate king wanted to end the boy's influence and agreed on the boy's conditions. He gathered the people and did exactly as the boy instructed. As the king shot the arrow, he said, "In the name of Allah, the Lord of this boy," and the arrow struck the boy, killing him. But in that moment, the people realized the truth. The boy's God was the one true God, Allah. Ammar's heart raced as he witnessed the events unfold. He knew what happened next. The people, inspired by the boy's sacrifice, began to declare their faith in Allah. In anger, the king ordered a massive trench to be dug. He filled it with wood and lit the fire and demanded that anyone who refused to worship him be thrown into the flames. Ammar watched in horror as the king's soldiers began throwing the faithful into the burning trench. But despite the danger, the people stood firm in their belief, refusing to bow to the king. Among them was a woman with her infant child. She hesitated at the edge of the trench, but the baby miraculously spoke, telling her to remain steadfast in her faith. Ammar's eyes were filled with tears as he saw the bravery and faith of the people. He wanted to help, but he knew this was part of the story, an important moment in history that would teach generations about the strength of faith in the face of injustice. Suddenly, the bright light returned, and Ammar felt himself being pulled back to his own time. When he opened his eyes, he was back at the campsite, the stars still twinkling above him. His brother Yusuf was asleep beside him, and the campfire crackled softly. Ammar sat up, feeling overwhelmed by what he had just witnessed. The story of Al-Akhdood was no longer just a tale to him. The experience was overwhelming. He realized how important it was to stand up for what you believe in, no matter how difficult it might be. Ammar whispered to Yusuf about his dream. "I'll never forget this. I'll always remember the bravery of the boy and the people of Al-Akhdood. As he lay back down in his sleeping bag, Ammar looked up at the stars, feeling a newfound sense of courage and faith. Tomorrow would be another adventure, but tonight, he would sleep knowing that true strength comes from standing up for what is right. With a deep breath, Ammar closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep, ready for whatever challenges the future might bring.